don't understand is that we got to work on ourselves. God wants us to become the best version of ourselves. Why should we get in a relationship with that woman when we're not right with ourselves? We're still out drinking. We're still out doing drugs. We're still cheating. We're still stealing and going to jail and all that. Why does a girl have to pick up our messes for us? That's what a lot of men don't realize about. They want to blame God for a death. People deny Jesus because of their loved ones passing away. Again, as good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is to you guys. Is it a good day? I don't know if it is or not. If you're chasing Jesus, 100%, it's going to be a good day because you woke up today, you got to feel blessed. You know what I'm saying? Today we are going to talk about toxic relationship with Jesus. Yes, you can have a toxic relation with Jesus. It's so crazy on how many people actually have it. There's kind of like two ways of claiming it as a toxic relation with Jesus. You can say go to church every Sunday, you can wear the cross on you, you can say yourself a Christian, but you're not following Jesus. You're still hitting the bars, you're still hooking up with people, you're still lusting over people, lying, stealing, all this and that, like not doing it in God's way. You know what I mean? Not following Christ. You're more of following the world, but at the same time, you're claiming yourself as a Christian. You're claiming yourself as a Christian because, oh, you go to church on a Sunday service. In a way, I kind of used to be the same way. I never really had a toxic relationship with God. I never denied him. I always prayed to him, but at the same time, though, I was still worldly at times. I didn't think about things like I do now and be like, oh, what would Jesus do? Would Jesus want me to walk in there? I used to not think like that. But sadly, some people, again, claim themselves as a Christian and say, oh, Jesus will forgive me, so I can have sex before marriage. Oh, I can do that person bad. Jesus will forgive me if I ask for forgiveness. That's not how that works. You have to work on yourself. You have to actually ask for forgiveness and feel bad of what you did. It's not where you just literally just apologize and say, I'm sorry. Like, actually mean it. A lot of people mistake in that. And yes, Jesus would still love you, but at the same time, he's a parent. He's going to be disappointed in you. And people don't look at it like that. Again, that in a way is kind of a toxic relationship with him. Like getting like crosses tattooed on you, Bible verses tatted on you, and then you're hitting the club. And then you're just out getting drunk and out getting hammered and just being very worldly. And it's not right. Like I don't get that. Like how are you gonna claim yourself that and then you're worldly, you glorify sin? Like me personally, I don't understand that. And that to me is a toxic relationship. Because you know of him, you say you have a relationship with him, but then you're acting worldly. That's toxic. Another way of toxic relation with Jesus is denying him. And I know a lot of people are like that. They say, like, how is there a God when all this bad stuff happens? The devil can still come in the picture. But if you believe in Jesus and stuff like that, and you have a different mindset. You become more peaceful, you become more kind. You stay away from those worldly things. And again, just a different mindset, and you just become a better version of you. You start being more positive. Following Jesus takes time, guys. And there's just so many things in this world, so many miracles and unexplainable things that happen that science can't tell you about it. And I'm sorry, maybe I might get canceled for this, but I do not believe in evolution. I do not go to the zoo and see a monkey turning into a human. And then there's people that can argue with me on that and say, like, oh, different evolutions became... Why did monkeys stop turning into humans then? That's where I get confused on. That's where the Bible makes the most sense. The Bible explains it all. So I don't believe in evolution. I believe that God created the universe. I believe he created what happened in evolution. But no, I don't believe in evolution. And again, I know a lot of people that deny Jesus. And this is one of the biggest things that a lot of people always deny God. Because people don't have the patience for it. And I'll admit it. Back in my past, I didn't have a patience for a lot of things. I always wanted it now. As I said in my testimony before. But a lot of people deny Jesus when they don't get their way. And biggest one for a lot of men is finding the right one. People or men specifically want that one girl. And they always pray to God for that one girl to change their life around. And they always say, God, bring me the right girl already. Bring me her already. Bring me my future wife already. What a lot of us men don't understand is that we got to work on ourselves. God wants us to become the best version of ourselves. Why should we get in a relationship with that woman when we're not right with ourselves? We're still out drinking. We're still out doing drugs. We're still cheating. We're still stealing and going to jail and all that. Why does a girl have to pick up our messes for us? That's what a lot of men don't realize about. They want to blame God for death. People deny Jesus because of their loved ones passing away. Again, as I talk about this in a lot of videos, why would you want to deny him? And now you're just thinking that your dead mother or your dead father or your dead grandparent is out in a grave right now, just in bones and dust and underground, instead of believing that they made it up to heaven and they're now up in the best place ever. Instead, you're denying him and you're thinking he's not real because they took away your loved one from you. Okay? He is real. I know the story. There's just so many people that turns their life around because of Jesus. So many people used to be the baddest people of all time. They used to be drinkers, criminals, the biggest liars and cheaters and all that, and they turn their life around with Christ, and you see a huge difference. I'm sorry, I don't see that with other religions. I don't see prisoners becoming a better person because of astrology. I don't see them ever saying, oh, my zodiac told me to become a better person and now I am the best version of myself. I see Jesus doing that for them. Why? How come in prison they have Bible studies there? Because prisoners want to learn more about him. Instead of going back to jail, they try to turn their life around and they follow Christ. If a horrible sinner or a horrible person can turn their life around because of Christ, I know you can too. We all done stuff in our past. We all said bad things, but I know you can turn your life around. And sadly, I know a lot of people that grew up in churches that don't know Jesus like they used to. And they try to deny him. And they try to say that he's not real. And they believe in other religions and stuff like that. And I see the most worldly in them. I see them just a mess. They don't have it together. I'm not saying, oh, you follow Christ, so you're going to have everything together. But as long as you put it in God's hands and God's timing and you pray, that stress is not going to worry about it. You shouldn't worry about things. And I'll admit it, I do worry about things at times. So I'm human. But at the same time, I try to put it in God's hands. And people see a different version of me than they used to. I don't worry like how I used to. I still do worry, of course, but I don't worry like I used to. But why do people run away from Jesus? As I said, it is because of bad things that happened in their past. So they're just like, oh, why did that thing happen to me then, huh? Why did my parent die? Why did I get abused growing up? Where was God to protect me? Again, the devil can still enter the picture. But through Christ, you can also change as a person. Maybe God did some of those things or didn't stop those things from happening is because it made you into a better person. It made you humble. And especially this too. I was in church. I was at a Sunday service one time. And they were talking about family. And sometimes you wonder, you're like, God, why did you put me with this family? But you have to realize that God maybe put you in that family is because when you're older, You're gonna change that cycle, that family cycle. Your parents are alcoholics. I'm not drinking. I'm not gonna show what my kids had to see me growing up, what I had to see growing up, because I knew what that turned them into, turning them into drunks and messes that I had to clean up. I'm not gonna do that. You have to be the best version of you, and in my opinion, through that is Christ. It is so sad though, as I talked about this in the beginning of the video, how many people claim themselves as Christian and they're not. They're not setting a good example of Christ. They're not spreading the word of the gospel like they should. They go out on Saturday night, they go out clubbing, they go out drinking, they go out and lust, and then they go to a Sunday service. And then boom, that's it. And then on Monday, they're back to their routines. They're back to cussing, lusting, stealing, all sorts of stuff. Back to their sins. I know so many people that believe in Jesus and say they claim that they are a Christian, but yet they also support worldly things. They're okay with worldly things. You as a Christian, that stuff eats you alive. Sin eats you alive. When you sin, you as a follower of Christ, and when you sin, it eats you alive. You feel so down on yourself, you feel so bad for what you do, and when you stop that sin that you once did, it's a whole different mindset that you have. You see the change, and I'm sure other people will too. And God especially will see the change of you. Again, it's sad that how many people deny him. But you also have to put that faith in other people too. You have to talk about him. You have to pray for those people too. You can't just keep yelling and telling them what to do. You can invite them to church. I know so many people that deny Jesus, and don't get me wrong, I invited them a few times. I talked about Christianity in front of them. Their mindset's not changing, but it all takes time. It really does. Maybe just that one visit in church, maybe that will change their mindset. I know so many people that didn't grow up in church and didn't have Jesus in their life, and they had the worst life ever. And now they even will say that Jesus saved them. That their mindset's different. That their life is different. They're going to show their future kids or their kids that they have now a different life than they had. Because they don't want their kids to see how they grew up. And that's cool. Again, it is, though, as a Christian, as a follower of Christ, as a person that believes in Jesus, it's hard to hear when people cuss and say the Lord vain's a name, and when people deny him, and people that say they grew up in the church and their church ruined them. I'm sorry for what your church did to you. But come to mine. I'm not saying mine's better than that one, but maybe it is. How are you going to blame? But here's the thing too. How are you going to blame the church? Or I'm sorry, I said that wrong. How are you going to blame Jesus when it was the church that ruined you for Christianity? It wasn't Jesus, it wasn't God. I'm confused. It was the church. People talk about all these pastors that did stuff to children, and they blame Jesus. They blame the church, but it was the pastors. That's what I'm confused on. It wasn't Jesus. And then they say, wow, why would God ever let that happen? The devil can tempt no matter what. The devil can come in the picture. And I know so many people that grew up as Christians, and they are the most worldly people I know, the biggest sinners. And it's sad to see. In my family, did I have people that were Christians and went to church? Yes. But at the same time, though, I didn't grow up reading the Bible. I didn't grow up going to Sunday service every Sunday. I didn't grow up like some people where they had 4 days of the week going to church like I do now. I didn't grow up like that. How I grew up was we went to Sunday service, stuff happened in our family, we stopped going. no matter what though, I still believed in God, and thank God I did. Because who knew what I would have acted like if I didn't believe in him. And again, I know I sinned in my past, but I never denied him. And was my sins that I did, were they bad? Yeah, because every sin is. Was I sorry for my sins? Now I am. Not in the present. Did I have a toxic relation with Jesus? I'll admit I did worldly things. But again, I never denied him. But I wasn't setting a good example for Jesus. So I will admit that. But again, if you do have a toxic relationship, if you are going to church, think about what would Jesus do. They say it a lot of times in service. You can't just be a Christian on a Sunday. Okay? Bring Christ into your work center. Bring Christ in your home. Don't just keep him in church. Spread the word of the gospel. That's where I will give a lot of these Christian influencers props on. They go around the street and they ask people, do you believe in Jesus? Why don't you? Yada, yada, yada. You can call it debates, but I call it conversation with people. But again, if you have a toxic relation with Jesus, start praying more, start working on yourself, start having a better mindset. Don't listen to the world. Because the devil owns the world. Jesus owns you. Not owns you, but he's your father. Alright, but that's Real Talk with K.M.B. Peace, we out.